Hey beauties! I am back with another video, and guess what? So today we're going to talk about my experience traveling to Cancun during COVID. Sorry I've been MIA guys, but I am back. We have been planning our anniversary trip, so that's what we've been focused on. And we've been married for 2 years, and it sounds crazy even saying that out loud, but time flies. It's been an amazing 2 years, and we had such a great trip. Our first year anniversary was right when COVID started. We were already under contract to buy the house, and we're pretty shocked when the pandemic hit, which I'm sure everybody was. We almost didn't even think that we were going to be able to close on the house, but thank God the title company stayed open on our closing day. So we closed on the house and celebrated inside the house for our first year anniversary, which was actually pretty nice. But this year I really wanted to do something different, and so I surprised Jason with the trip to Cancun. He was super excited, as was I, and I can't wait to share our experiences with you. So I know what you guys are probably thinking, like, why would you go out of the country right now during the pandemic? I've heard it already. I promise you I did my research and we were safe, I promise you. I will be sharing some travel tips at the end of the video, so please stay tuned for that. Disclaimer, I am not saying that you should travel during COVID, you guys, but I did want to share my travel experience and what I learned traveling. So I decided to go to Cancun because one, it's just not too far from where I'm at in Phoenix. Two, Mexico is not banned from traveling. And three, they require a negative COVID test in and out of the country. So I actually, not gonna lie, like I was super surprised at how serious they are taking things in Mexico. And actually super happy that I made the decision to go there. One of the good things that I noticed prior to the trip was that they provide you with like all of the information that you need for what they require flying into Mexico. So definitely one of the things I'll recommend if you're looking for a place is that we had no issues taking our PCR COVID test 3 days prior, because that's one of the things that they require, and we actually did get our results the next day, which was actually perfect. So everyone had their masks on at all times during the airport, and it was honestly pretty safe. It was the same when we arrived to Mexico. It was basically everyone had their masks on and they were practicing social distancing. It was a lot less lit, of course, than the few times that I had went before, you know, but we were pretty worried, you know, we didn't know what to expect. And one of the things we were also worried about was just taking the cab to the resort. We stayed at Hotel Olio, which was really, really nice. They are all inclusive and not too large, it's pretty quaint. They have condos too, which is where we stayed, which are pretty secluded. One of the reasons we stayed there was for that. Definitely recommend, check them out. And the cab to the resort was actually not that bad. Like, I remember our last trip to Cancun, the cab ride was pretty packed out, and it was just a completely different vibe than this trip, which I think is actually good. And so they were really taking one passenger at a time, so I think taking the cab is pretty safe. And the people in Cancun are so awesome. Our cab driver, he made sure to spray and wipe before he grabbed our luggage, and even when he like opened the door to let us in and out, he sprayed and wiped. It was pretty great. So when we arrived at the hotel, they did have someone at the gate actually checking everyone's temperature who went in and out. He even stopped us like when we were going to walk across the street to the store. I think it's called like the OXXO. He stopped us and he was like checking our temperatures before we went in and out. There was even a line like at one point at the store. It was crazy. Like, you definitely aren't seeing that here, but it just showed me that they're making sure that everyone's safe. They even had washing stations when we went to the mall. It was super, super cool. But from that point, you guys, honestly, we knew we just had to do our part in taking precautions and staying distant. So that's exactly what we did, and we enjoyed our trip. Here are some of the photos for a quick recap. worried about like if we had to leave the hotel, if we had to find somewhere to go. But to be honest, we didn't have to go anywhere at all. They offered it at the resort. It's pretty awesome. It was kind of tucked away, but it was really nice that it was, because it's not like where everyone's at. They did offer like the regular lab test, and then they also had like the rapid test. It was like $20 per person, not bad at all. And then when we arrived at the airport, I would just say to make sure to give yourself like a couple hours, because they're checking everything. They're checking the attestation forms. They have like another like COVID questionnaire that they're checking that Mexico requires. And they also review like your COVID test. So please be sure to give yourself at least 2 hours prior to your flight, so that way you have enough time and you're good to go for your flight. But with all of that being said, I think I would consider traveling again, definitely to Mexico. It wasn't bad at all. Like, we had made it safely there, back with negative COVID tests, which was really, really great. Thank God for that. But here are a few tips if you're considering traveling there, if you're considering traveling anywhere else. Tip number 1, do your research and prepare. Please, please, you guys, like, be sure to choose the right place to travel to and know like what is required ahead of time. Preparing helped us a lot on this trip, like so much. Tip number 2, pack accordingly. Please make sure like you bring everything that you feel like you need to ensure that you're safe, that you feel clean. One of the things that I did was I kept like a mini sanitizer on me, like everywhere that I went. It came in handy so, so much. You can bring like sanitizer, wipes, gloves, masks, you know, hand soaps, Clorox spray, like whatever you feel like you need. Tip number 4, be aware of your surroundings. I mean, that's pretty obvious. In this case, just pay attention to like the area that you're going to while you're exploring. A few things to look for is the obvious, like are people wearing their masks or practicing social distancing. Just keep an eye out for those things, and it will just give you an idea of how to go about your day. Tip number 5, clean your items. So really, this is like before you leave the trip. I feel like it's important to prepare for your trip, for your leave, and clean your items. Like one of the things that I like to do is like wipe down my phone, because that's not something that we're thinking about every day. So just a little tip for you, if they have washer and dryers, just make sure to wash your clothes, you know, those things. I think that would help a lot. All right, that wraps up my travel experience to Mexico during COVID and the tips that I have to travel safely. Please comment below and let me know if you have traveled too during COVID. I'd love to hear about it and what tips you have on how to travel safely as well. It's sad to say, you guys, like this is our new normal, and I just really want you all to be safe out there. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll be sharing more tips and tricks with you guys soon in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, beauties.